wanted to tell you a little small world story about this quilt. In 1976, when we had the church centennial, we did a whole lot of things, and one of the things we did was we made this quilt, and we gave each family a block to embroider their names on. And Vi Carey, who was very talented needle worker, Byron drew this, and isn't that right, Byron?
Yeah.
And she did the needlework on it, and then each family did their block, and we had it quilted, and then we sold chances. You could only buy one chance for $10. Each family got one chance if they wanted to buy one. And Jean and Paul Williams were a family here in the church, and Jean won the quilt. And some years later, she moved out to Sun City, Arizona, and she called me one day and she said, I really think this quilt should stay at Christ Church. Would you or your sister like it? And I said, well, Ann will never see it. And yes, I'd like it. And so it came to my house, and when we had Consecration Sunday this year, I thought, well, this will be a good time to let other people see it. And one of the names on here, the family, are Don and Alice Smith, and their two children, Rebecca and Brian. So they were here when they left. They went back to North Carolina, and when the Towners came to town, and for some reason, early after you all moved into your house, I went out to your house, and I drove up in front of it, and I thought, oh my God, they bought Don and Alice Smith's house. And so they're living in Don and Alice Smith's house. So just, small world. But you see a lot of names here, some names of people who are still here, and some names who are not. But I hope maybe sometime when we get the church finished, we can hang this permanently, but it would have to be on a wall. You could put lucite in front of it or something in there. I don't know where it could be because I don't see a wall big enough. But that's, I think it's a particularly beautiful quilt. Does anybody have any questions about times? What, John?
I don't have a question, but I want to stand up and mention something that all of us have seen or touched at one point or another in our life in this church, and that are the red signboards that make up part of the Christmas decoration. And I can tell you what I know to be the history of that place, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure Sue will correct me. The signboards were made before 1965 as a Eagle Scout project by a young man and his father. And they have been used in this church ever since then, and they've gone through one remodel, one relettering, and one repainting that I know of. And that was done by Jim Bowerly 8 or 10 years ago. The reason the signs don't fit exactly between the spaces of the ceiling beams is that at one point there were speakers for the organ, and they had to cut the signboards length so that the speakers would fit on the wall up in the corners of the arches. And that's just a bit of history.
It was Charlie Stiver's son, Chris, who did those as his Eagle Scout project. And we thought we would replace them, but you can't get that masonite board anymore. They're very light, and so probably they were made around 1950 or something like that. They're venerable.
When I was, oh yeah.
I was going to ask you to tell us about the needlepoint pillows that I know are so important to you.
Well, the needlepoint pillows up around the altar were done in memory of my father with money that was given to the memorial fund. Traditionally there was in this church a memorial fund. When someone died, they would ask that money be given to that. So we took that money, and my sister had an ecclesiastical needlework lady in St. Louis design these cushions, and then Ann and my mother and several other people, friends, did them. But Ann insisted that they do them right, and this ecclesiastical lady showed her how to do it right. And so I think they're particularly beautiful. We also have some wedding kneelers that were done in memory of Arthur England's wife, Juanita. And they are used hopefully for every wedding in this church. And they are really, they're in the altar guild drawer. They're very beautiful too. So we do have some beautiful things.
Sue, I was asking Bob earlier about this tradition that brought us here together tonight, or probably anyone, the tradition of first Sunday potluck. How old a tradition is that?
Not very old. I can't remember when we started doing it. I guess after you came, 3.
When I started coming in 2000, it was going strong.
Maybe it was because during the interim period we felt it was important that we come together as a
It was
group.
always a busy
And so we
week.
just started having our first Sunday potluck during that interim period, because between the time Brant Hazel left and Bob came, it took 3 years. Long years. searching.
Really long.
Long years of searching.
That's
And-
a typical.
And so that was when, I guess that's when we started.
That's a typical circumstance. You
Yeah.
said you had great anxiety during this time period. You compensated for
Yeah.
eating. And when I come to I've never seen anybody eat as much as just said a fish rib.
That's right. Well, we've always had food functions.
January 15th, 2000.
For several years, a long time ago, we had a lobster supper for a couple of years, and we would order lobsters from New England, and
Sue?
and
I noticed
they'd
they
come
had
down here.
steak suppers.
Yeah, steak suppers, and everything. But the lobster thing, that was just for us, and we all brought friends. That was good.
Oh,
And
I just want to acknowledge one absent friend. Those of you who haven't been here very long may think Sue is a good bit of a character, but her sister Ann is way more so. And apparently they used to do parties here sometimes with dancing. I think I was at one of those. And somebody asked Sister Ann about that, asked if we were the church that had dancing. She said, I wanted to say no, it would interfere with our casino. We just miss her.
Well, thank you, I do too, and so when she comes, she looks a lot like me.
I've got one on our mothers. Now, Mrs. Crane and my mother were good friends, and Sue's mom just did not like when we did things at all.
No.
And she usually always sat behind her. We never sat together, but she always usually sat behind her. And it would come time to do the peace, and mother would very sweetly give me a hug and a kiss on the cheek. Miss Connie would be behind us going, oh, peace, peace, peace. And Mom would just fall out. Every Sunday we went through
Really
this.
did not like that. In fact, when I was down in Arkansas visiting my cousin, he said he will never forget her funeral because he said the priest intentionally said, peace of the Lord be always with you, and everyone said, and also with you, and he said he went right on all the service. Nobody greeted anybody.